Today, we're going to be relaxing in the Beats Lab with some paintbrushing. Yo, dog, Candy Boucher here, Next Level Painting, hitting you up on the literal best of all days. Coming to you from the Beats Lab in Hollywood, California. We're doing it again. Look, guys, less than a week to go. Adepticon 2018. This will be my 11th year in a row. If you guys don't know what Adepticon is, it's the largest, most prestigious miniature wargaming-based convention in the world. We'll be all flying out to Chicago Wednesday, I believe. The whole crew will be on site. That being said, there's obviously a lot of excitement, a lot of anxiety even brewing inside me. So what I'd like to do before the tournament is relax. So today is a low-stress paint day. No airbrushing, nothing. We're just gonna do some therapeutic zen-like paintbrushing. Today, we're going to be working with Elrik's Hobbies.com, one of the official sponsors of Next Level Painting, and they will be a part of the Long War Scavenger Hunt at Adepticon. Guys, booth 801, Next Level Painting, Spiky Bits TV, Slow Fuse Gaming, the Long War Scavenger Hunt starts at the beer cart. You guys are going to have to get down on the beer cart promotion to get your first clue to fill in your swag bags with free stuff. Obviously, come by and say hi. We'll be at booth 801 Saturday, Sunday, all day. We'll be at the Long War Doubles running that event. 160 people signed up. This bringing hobby back situation, that's working. Speaking of bringing hobby back, we've been bringing it back so long, we're just bringing it now. So there it is, big reveal, guys. The new Long War t-shirt available at Adepticon with the new dice, the new Long War dice bags, and of course, this cereal mug. Before we get this thing started, give me a second. I got to shout out some clutch individuals over on Patreon. These people supported me this week. Mark, Eric, Talcum, Ray, William, Jurian, Miffy, Scott, Douglas, DeJoyo, Lane, and Aaron. Guys, I literally cannot do this without you. Patreon is how I keep the lights on. Guys, let's do it. Alright guys, let's start the show off right. Secret Weapon Miniatures, Brown Rust, one of the coolest lines of weathered paints I've ever used. And we're going to be using an Elrik's Hobbies industrial line base, one of our sponsors. We are going to be deploying the technique known as dry brushing. Possibly one of the ancientest of all Chinese techniques. We don't really care where this brown goes. Obviously, we're trying to make the dirt brown, but we don't give a fuck. We're putting it on everything, all that diamond plate, all the gears. We're just going to town. This is about eliminating stress, being therapeutic, just having fun, being organic, letting it flow in the Beats Lab. We are unsure what our vision is at this point, but as we move forward, we're looking for more organic, kind of more weathered, slightly more realistic look. We're going to switch it to light dust from Secret Weapon. We're going to mix a little bit of that light dust in with that brown rust, and we're going to create a highlight. And this is a very wet dry brush we're doing now here. We barely dried the bristles of the brush off on a piece of paper. It's very much still intact, so we're just using a lot of light brush pressure here and just kind of streaking it kind of one direction. We don't want to muddy it up too much, and what we're going to do is start introducing more and more light dust and more subtlety as we go, kind of build that highlight up. We switch gears to that bomb wick flat dry brush. This is a synthetic blend. This is one of the new paintbrushes from their line. My man Jason Craze mailed me one to try, and so far so good. I'm very impressed. All right, we're going to switch it up yet again. Boom. More highlight. Now it's way more dry. It's not nearly as streaky as it was. You see how I'm going crazy? Still deploying some, but it's not streaking, muddying it all up and everything like that. There's a lot of ways to dry brush it, to master it. All right, P3 formula, privateer press, Menoth white highlight. This is one of my favorite ways to highlight any organic surface. It's an off-white, it's a bone color. I find that browns in the, on a base look great when you highlight them with this color. Always do this, never use white. In my opinion, you will always be happier with organic colors using an off-white instead of a true white. Okay. Oldie but a goodie, Typhus Corrosion. We haven't used it in days. We're gonna go crazy now. I'm gonna be implementing possibly one of the most clutch brushes in my lineup. This is that GW detail brush. See how good it is right here. Just doing a stuck dizzle. We're just gonna slather it on completely make all the metal pieces Typhus Corrosion, because Typhus Corrosion has a really great, rust color, but also it dries with a textured grit. So we will deploy a quick little metallic dry brush to it, which unfortunately I didn't film for some crazy reason, because I was being maybe a little too chill in the Beats Lab today. But you guys have seen me dry brush metallics before. It's the same process we've been doing. Okay, switch it up, scale 75, black gold. We're gonna just quickly cut in some of the bronze regions of these big gears. I mean, are they clocks? I'm not a clock scientist. I literally don't feel qualified to comment on the names of these pieces, but I feel like they should have a different color, not silver. So we're just gonna bang it all out. Scale 75, make some of the best metallics in the game. High stick paints. You can water them down and they still stick amazing. We're gonna just shoot in here, dry brush some of the innards of that clock, the clock guts. I don't know. Okay, somber gray, Vallejo. We're gonna use this, paint this big concrete slab right there in the middle that's kind of busted up, looking its best. Now this is another amazing gray. I mean, we've thinned it down to dirty paint water level and it's still got that much stick. So I'm just treating that as a piece of concrete broken off of a clock tower at this point. I'm calling this the clock base. Okay, we're gonna let that dry. We're firmly in the hot garbage phase. It looks terrible. But now we're gonna be in the Rizza Rust phase. Now, the Rizza Rust phase comes after the dry brushing metallic phase. So you'll notice that all that Typhus Corrosion got rapid fire dry brush with any random silver, the first one on my desk. So we're juicing this on. We're just slathering very thin down Rizza Rust onto the base. It's so thin, it's ridiculous. So it looks really aggressive right now, but it will dry very muted. We're just going to town here. We're letting our strokes be organic. We're kind of letting the incredibly thinned out nature of the paint create interesting dry patterns, very natural ones. We're not even putting too much thought into it. We're just kind of piling it up in some of the areas where maybe there should be a little bit more vibrancy, but because you can see as it's drying, it's already getting more muted as we go. So now we're just kind of rapid fire speckling it. While that's doing its thug life, we're going to switch gears to this Dwarven Gold, do a rapid fire dry brush on Clocksworth over here, just to give it a little bit of a highlight. Super fast. Mainly we're just killing time waiting for paint to dry because, hey man, half of what I do is watch paint dry. Okay, Secret Weapon Miniature Soft Body Black. This is a wash. This is one of my favorite washes, and we're just going to thin it down with a little water, little Liquitex mixing medium from the art store, and we're just going to go nuts. We're kind of focusing more around where these items are on the dirt, so there maybe is a ringed shadow, almost a pin wash around some of these objects, some of these assets on the base. So that way it's very contrasted, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But we're not like, limiting ourselves to just putting this wash on the dirt. Okay, while that's drying, switch it up. Concrete, another cool wash from Secret Weapon Miniatures, and we're just going to change the face of this somber gray concrete slab with a little concrete wash. We're going to just rapid fire grab a little of that soft body black that we already had pulled out, just kind of let it swirl into it, give us some nice uneven patterns right there. Back to Rizza Rust while that's drying. Staying busy in the Beats Lab, having a blast. We're going to pull out a smaller brush, a synthetic, and we're going to get some of that Rizza Rust, and we're going to just kind of trace out some of these edges. Now you see it's very aggressive, but remember what I said, it's going to be very muted when it dries. Take a look at the rest of the rust on the base to get an idea of what this will look like. This is going to help us create even more contrast, because I want the base to be very muted, very similar toned, right? But we still got to create contrast in interesting ways. I'm assuming that the dust is settled on everything, rust is on everything, and many elements of the base are covered in the same residue. So there'll be a very similar coating to everything. So the way I'm going to create contrast, rather than have like two big bright pieces of metal on a dark base, is I'm going to use some of this rust to trim it out. It's going to look amazing. As it dries, it gets very muted, as I've said. Okay, Secret Weapon Miniatures green wash. We're going to use this to just do a little of that patina, a little of that oxide or whatever that shit's called. That whatever happens to clocks, I guess, is it clocks that turn green when they rust? Man, I don't fucking know anymore, man. What are we talking about? Just jam it into the cracks, let it do its thug dizzle. Okay, now all that rust is muted and dry. We're gonna take a little bit more Rizza Rust on our detail brush. We're not gonna thin it down that much. We're gonna be very precise here, and we're gonna just add a little bit more aggressive, vibrant Rizza Rust to some of the peaks. Not all of it, just a couple of key areas where there's a lot of rust showing. This way we get that final highlight to the rust. picking areas right there toward the top. We've kind of decided the rust is being dragged down from the top, and we're just giving it a little boost, a little pop. Here's a nice little sharp edge right there. Give it a little rust. Maybe where two pieces of metal are connected, you know, right there. A little pop. Just keep going with it. Don't retrace everything. Just accentuate some of the points, just like edge highlighting in a lot of ways. See, look at how much work we just did in that base in such a short amount of time. Staying busy in the Beats Lab, Adepticon 2018, guys. I'll see you guys there. Play on, players.